Hello and welcome back to episode 4 of What If Civilization Started Over, Waves Alternate History of WICSO. And in this episode we're gonna see a huge war breakout. So, if you've not seen the last episode, I recommend you go back and watch it. And if you did, thank you for watching. Also, leave a like and subscribe to this channel. It will help me a lot, and it's just 1 click or 2 clicks for you. And leave a comment down below what you thought of this video. And without further ado, let's start into this episode. As we know, the old empire is alone in the square lines for now. They have a lot of things planned for the future, but it's now only a time to prepare and to wait for the right moment. First of all, we need to talk about the Lime team. They lose all their colonial claims. It's obvious. They do kept them after the defeat, but they're just a few months after this, they just broke away. And we have some new Indonesian countries and a new Alaskan and West Coast American country formed. Also, the Mongolian countries are now completely filled in Asia. We have 3 continents completely filled in now, and yeah, it's coming to an end. That there's no really without Australia. There's really not much space left to conquer without attacking someone. So let's see what the future will bring us. Now to the gold team. The gold team, after I think the gold team after 2 to 3 years, about that span time, sent out a request to Greece, Crete, and Caucasia, and demanded the Black Sea territory from them, to completely encircle the Black Sea for themselves. And it's called the Black Sea Question. I don't know what's called question. It is what I say. So it's the Black Sea Question, and they have 1 month to answer and give up the territory, or it will mean war. 1 month passes, and from all these 3 countries, they sent a letter to the capital of the gold team directly to the king or to the leader. It's more like a dictator, democracy. It's a dictator, and there's just 2 words in all of these letters: fuck you. So it's clearly a no. The gold team didn't expect that this would happen, but they quickly start gathering their forces and plan to invade these countries, which they actually do. And 1 week later, the first tanks and troops start to roll into Caucasia, slowly crossing the border and don't stopping anywhere. Also down here in Turkey, they start to advance. In Crete, they also start to advance into their territory, also slowly, not fast. And in Greece, they also start to advance into the country, but it's much harder than in the other countries because Greece is a bit stronger than these 2. But overall, the gold team sees a lot of success in these advances, and I don't think that this is going to take very long. But they were wrong. It will take a long while to destroy them. After just 2 days of fighting, all these countries join the Square Alliance. Out of nowhere, they join it, and the old empire declares war on the gold team, which will promptly be enacted. They already planned this, and they rapidly start advancing into the Turkish territory of the gold team. They need to evacuate from here and also from here and try to defend this, but it's really too late. They push in, capturing this major city, and also rushing to this one. Crete is also advancing here, capturing this major city, and slowly but surely they're getting encircled on this major city. And on a fateful day, they need to evacuate from this major city and go to the capital back, and need to reassure the safety of their troops. So Crete captures this major city, and now it's only a 2-front war. The gold team, not pleased by this, will actually call the Polish and the Romans into this war, and yeah, Greece is the Romans immediately start to advance into Greek territory. They already hoped to be included into this war because they wanted to have their ancestors' territory back, their original claims. And the gold team also starts rapidly to advance into Turkish territory because the Turks can't really defend this. In Caucasia, they also start rapidly advancing into the territory, not slowly anymore, fast and aggressive. They almost instantly threaten the capital and this major city down here. But the old empire sends all their troops to the Caucasian country, to Caucasia, because it's the best way to defeat them, going up here to the strait, crossing the sea here, and entering the capital in Crimea. But it's really not going well. The gold team still advances and eventually captures the capital of Caucasia, but Caucasia will still fight because they see hope in the plans of the old empire. Also, they lose this major city too. The Greeks lose this major city and get encircled here. I mean, not encircled because they can go here, but it's disconnected from the main capital, and they start to move in, capturing this major city. And now the Cretes need to dig themselves here in and defend this push. The Romans will still move in, slower than the gold team, but still capturing this major city up here. And the Polish are finally sending troops down to defeat the square alliance. And after just 1 month of fighting, the old empire enables their plan to defeat the. And after just 1 month of fighting, the old empire enables their plan to defeat the Circle Alliance, a Europe-wide alliance that will defeat the gold team. And after just 1 month fighting, it's enabled. All the countries were prepared and already joined the Square Alliance, and these are the countries. First, we have the African Union before fighting with the Circle Alliance against Iberia. But this was just more like a freedom act to free Africa from colonial powers and directly from the border. Now it's the same. They want to free the colonial powers. They want to free Africa from the colonial powers up in the south, especially from Rome, because it's the only power up south. Down we have Ireland and the Dutch team, and they're also really pissed about this, and they will try their best to get these both out of Africa. But first, the Romans have to do. Then all of Iberia seeking revenge on the Circle Alliance, and also Galicia also seeking revenge on those who betrayed them. The Dutch and the Austrians also joined for revenge because they want the old territory back. None of these Nordic countries joined because there's no need for them. It's just a waste of time on troops. And finally, we have Russia joining the war. Obvious reasons. They want revenge on the gold team. And let's see how this now Second World War will go. First, we have the French country immediately invading into the Romans, capturing 2 major cities in just the first 2 days, and trying to disconnect this part from the mainland, and also pushing up, capturing this major city and this bay, their former territories. The Catalonians also move in, capturing this major city and this major city. And a lot of troops are also down here to defend this part, and it's getting close, but the French can isolate them and kill all of them. Now all these troops are at the French front, so it's a Iberian front. The African Union will advance into Corsica, capturing this major city down here, and also invade the Balearic Islands, capturing all of them, and start their push onto the Italian peninsula, capturing this major city, and not going any further besides this. The Dutch will by far the strongest, besides the old empire, with military, and they also will advance into Roman territory, immediately advancing deep into the territory and former territory, also invading through the Austrians, capturing this major city and pushing alongside the border of the Swiss to connect to their main advances. And they have one final border that they will attack, and this is the Polish border, and the Polish are not really strong. They're getting completely outmatched by the way stronger Dutch Empire, Dutch Kingdom, and also losing 2 major cities just in the first few days. And the gold team is really fucked by now. The Russians also start their advances, mostly on the border of the major cities, but they have a determined fate in the war. They also start pushing down here to this major city and also defending their major city up here. The capital will also be fortified harder and gets pushed up. And just like here, they're also pushing down here to defend this major city. And it doesn't look really good for the gold team. The gold team now still advances into Caucasian country territory, because why not? they have the manpower for this, moving even deeper into the country, capturing this major city and going for this major city and this. In Greece, they lose actually a bit of land, this major city and this major city, and also getting pushed back from here because they need to relocate their troops. The Romans also lose a ton of land in Greece, losing both the captured major cities and almost all the captured ground. And now it's a real mess for the Circular Alliance because they didn't thought this would escalate into a huge war like this. Maybe the gold team didn't expect that that Europe had still a sense for fire because they dominated the continent, but they should have kept their Iberian friend because this would have been an easy war for them if they just kept this country, the Galicians, because even if they lost Africa, they would still be able to hold back the African Union and defend the Dutch with the Romans, and actually they could have defeated the Square Alliance, but the gold team just fucked everything up. On the Russian border, the Russians are able to capture this major city, but they don't go any further and just start to fortify their position. They start to push deep here, and they have a lot of success because the gold team doesn't have any troops on their border because they didn't believe that the Russians would push into their country, but they were wrong, really wrong. The French push deep into Roman territory, capturing this major city and going even deeper. The Dutch also move in, capturing these two major cities and going up. It's just a mess for the Romans. The Romans can't really defend anything because they're getting overwhelmed by these forces. The African Union starts to push into Rome territory, but they don't come far because they're getting stopped on this short line. The Romans lose their complete ground in Greece, and Greeks troops start to advance into Roman territory, threatening this major city immediately. Also, the Greeks recapture their land completely from the gold team and also start to move into their country, but they don't come really far because the gold team just immediately sends troops down and builds a defensive line. The Dutch lose almost all the ground up here, but still can hold on to this major city. In Poland, they start pushing deep into the territory, going for the major cities, only to try to eliminate the Polish fast before they can even react properly. But this goes well for at first. They captured 3 major cities just in a week, and all teams seems very well organized, but in the end gold team troops and Polish troops start to destroy supply lines and the complete front starts to crumble for the Dutch, and this is really not good. They're losing this major city and get slowly pushed back to the main front, almost losing this the second major city that they captured, losing a bunch of troops here and losing this major city, now getting almost pushed back to their borders, and this is really not good for the Dutch. If they lose the war against the Polish and the gold team, well, Western Europe is completely fucked. It's because the Romans can reorganize and hold lines here. They're getting pushed back here, and then the Romans and the other troops can just push down here, capturing the Dutch and then the Iberians. So they need to lock in. But for now, the gold team just immediately pushes back the Russians, because the Russians are just undersupplied completely. They don't have any real troops on the border, and they completely lose their captured lands. And the gold team starts to move in, asking the Russians if they need more country losses than already. And they lose one major city, the capital, and another major city, and this major city in just a few days of the war, of the re-advancing of the gold team. And this is really not good. But the Russians keep fighting because they believe that they can win this war. And I mean, it looks good if the Romans capitulate, then this is a really good chance for them to win this war. And also the Romans don't really have any men down in Africa, so the African Union can easily push them and capture 2 major cities, also just in the first few weeks of the war. The Caucasians can recapture this major city and slowly push up, but they don't come really far. Not recapturing these 2 major cities directly on the front. The gold team loses a bit of land to the Greeks, but now they have a really good defensive line for these 2 major cities, so the Greeks won't come far. Also, the Greeks start to push in, capturing this major city and this major city from the Romans, and the Romans also lose a bunch of ground down in the Italian peninsula. Now that the African Union can now easily push up because the Romans are completely organized down here. Up north, the French will actually push even deeper into Roman territory, capturing 3 major cities, and the Dutch will also push up in the north at the border of the Swiss and connect to their Austrian front and threatening this major city of the Romans. In Poland, they actually lose this major city, but can stabilize themselves in the north and push a bit back to have, and also in the south, they also can make a great push. And this is the war so far. It looks really balanced down here, but in Europe, in the West Europe, it doesn't really look good for the circle lines. They almost completely lost Rome, and if Rome collapses, the Western Front will also collapse with Poland. And if Poland collapses, the Gold Team will lose this war. As long as the Romans don't collapse, this war could be winnable for the Gold Team. But if Rome collapses, this is the end for them. Let's see how this actually will go. We are back on the Caucasian front, and the Caucasians, with the help of the Old Empire, will actually push back the Gold Team from this major city and also from this major city and slowly push up and try to feed the Gold Team. The Greeks also get pushed back by the Romans a bit and lose this major city, but they can keep this major city captured. The Romans really spent a lot of troops on this front to push back the Greeks, and this will lead to the rapid advance of the African Union, capturing 3 major cities and now are almost at the capital of the Romans. Also, with the loss of this much land down here, the French are able to push deep into Roman territory, now trying to cut off this land from here with the help of the Dutch. The Dutch will actually keep pushing deep into Roman territory, capturing these 2 major cities and out of this major city, both threatening now this major city or are currently in the fight for this major city. The Dutch will also push back the advances of the Polish and capture these two major cities and will start their rapid advances on the coast. In the meanwhile, the Gold Team pushes deep into Russian territory, trying to capitulate them to have an easier war on more fronts, because they can't afford losing many troops up here. And the guerrilla fighting style of the Russians is not helping this any time, so it's really not good for them. They lose a lot of men up here in the north, especially in the winter time that is now coming. And the Russians, as said, use guerrilla techniques to fight the war, and this is really not good for the Gold Team. In Africa, we have the African Union expanding to this major city and pushing up the coast to destroy harbors and the control of the Romans on the African country, on the African continent. The Old Empire doesn't push into Roman lands down here, and they just hold. The Romans also hold, and it's not there are not any losses on this front at all, which is really good for the Old Empire because they can just focus on this front here and help a little bit on this front. And we will see how this will look in the future. Heading back to the Romans actually lose a major battle within this major city and now are forced to retreat, and the French completely push them back, capturing this major city and splitting the country in 2 pieces. The Dutch will take the control of the northern part, and the French and the Iberians will take part in capturing the Roman capital with the African Union and then helping the Dutch push up to defeat the Gold Team once and for all. The African Union starts a major fight against the capital and pushes up equally, but can't push in any major city. It's really slow. The Romans defend like their lives depend on it, because it's really like they do. Also, the Greeks can push up again, capturing this major city and capturing this major city. Down here, they will get pushed back by the Gold Team, and the Gold Team actually completely destroys the push and re-enters the territory of the Greeks, trying to defend the Romans and trying to help the Romans survive, which really is not good for the front in Caucasia, because the Caucasians, with the help of the Old Empire, of course, can start a major counteroffensive and almost reach the capital of Caucasia and recapture this major city. This will spark hope for all of these countries, and also that Rome is falling. They know that this will be a war will go down in history as one of the brutalist wars of all time, because this is probably World War I equipment a bit later, but not World War II right now, I think. Something like this. So World War One was thought like from here on 20 years ago, so it's the same time, but World War One was like thought before with older equipment than our World War One, so it's not really the same. So it's like they have planes, better planes than in World War One, but not that good planes like in World War Two, and so on. So it's a bit weaker than World War Two equipment, but still it's brutal equipment, and I think it's more brutal than the World War One that we had. In this war, there are techniques used like gas, like in World War One, but much harder because there's no international law that says no. Because in World War One there was no gas grenades, and it's way more brutal than any war that happened before. Any fight over major cities is brutal, and they lose a lot of manpower on daily basis. And yeah, it's really not fun to fight in this war. China is really relaxed because they don't do anything, and also the Nordics just watch and keep their fronts safe from any people pushing in. Just a small excursus. And now we're back on fighting. The African Union captures the capital, and now the collapse of Rome is undeniable. The Romans lose all their peninsular claims, and now it's in one front war for all of Western Europe. And the African Union also pushes into Roman territory in Africa, again pushing, as I said, up the coast to destroy any ports and capture the major cities to just isolate the African thing from Rome, capturing with this push in like 1 month these 3 major cities. Also in this 1 month, the Dutch start a great push with the Western Europe into Rome, capturing two major cities, and also in Poland they also keep pushing deeper into Rome, Polish territory, also with the help of Western Europe completely, and pushing up the coast, actually capturing this major city and trying to encircle this one down here because there are a lot of troops there. And it really does not look good for for the gold team anymore, as Rome collapsed completely. No. The Greeks start also an advancement into Rome and captures 2 major cities, and now Rome is almost on the way of the collapse. The gold team starts a desperate offensive in Greece and are actually able to recapture the previous captured major cities, but also advance deep into Greek territory, capturing another major city and starting an offensive on the next one. In Caucasia, they also start an offensive, in all or nothing offensive, actually. They run into the country and just, with no military tactics, just flood the country with troops. So they come through and capture all of it quickly. In Russia, the advances slow down because they just don't have enough troops to fill up the border completely. And slowly but surely, the offensive stops and the Russians can reorganize. The Romans lose their access to the Mediterranean Sea, or to the Balearic Sea also here, and lose 2 major cities to the Dutch kingdom, and also 1 to Greeks, and it really does not look good for them. The Greeks are able to stop their push on them and start to retake territory, almost recapturing this major city and pushing up the coast to gain more control over the situation. The gold team breaks through this defensive line and almost reaches Crete, but not really, because they're stopped by Crete forces. And finally, the Dutch team encircles a bunch of troops, a lot of troops. I think there are around 300,000 troops down here that are just captured, which is the best encirclement that they've got so far, because there's no other encirclement this large. The highest encirclement was like 50,000 troops, also from the Dutch up north here, but we didn't saw that because it was really small. But this one is huge, and this one was the last thing that they needed to push the Polish back to their capital. And they capture all these 300,000 men, sending to work labor in their country for resources for the war. And now it's just brutal. They rush through the country. All the Romans, the Polish enact new enforcement law and enact new laws, and they're just sending everyone on the front, just like in World War II. In our timeline, the Germans sent everyone on the front. Well, my German accent is really bad. And now also kids are fighting on the front of the Polish, and the gold team just says, "What the fuck, man? This is not good. Nobody likes kids on the front, not even your own people. And this will lead to an event that is the breakaway of the Prussian state and the Polish state. There were already a lot of riots up here because the Polish couldn't really control these areas and the countries that they annexed. And now finally the countries rebelled and are rising up against the Polish, which is really not good because the Polish need to refocus then troops up north and also have a huge front down here. But this will quickly turn to massacre because the Prussians move in, capturing instantly a lot of territory, while the Polish also move in and capturing a lot of territory. They try to negotiate with the gold team, not be attacked, but the gold team doesn't listen. They want to win this war at any cost, and they start to push these back and also start to push into this country, taking back land. And yeah, it really just doesn't look really good for the Polish now. And the Greeks can push back the gold team after this and recapture this major city, pushing deep back into their territory and almost recapturing this major city, and are almost back at the front, at the country border of the gold team. Down in the Greeks actually start a counteroffensive, which goes really good. And in Caucasia, the gold team still pushes, capturing major city after major city, and are now almost on the border of the old empire. Nobody was in for a long time after the Lime Team collapsed. The Romans are now completely wiped off Europe, still present in Africa, but the African Union is now determined to capture all of the coast of the Mediterranean and liberate all the countries, which goes really well because there are not really troops here, and most of the cities welcome the African Union. And before the African Union can reach the new build project of the Romans, because the Romans started to build the Suez Canal, the old empire takes over and pushes also into territory, capturing this major city and stopping the African Union to reach this build, because they know that this build will have huge potential for the trade down here, because they don't need to go because Crete or Greece don't need to go all around here, paying the African Union to go around here, because they can easily ship all the things through this channel, through the Red Sea and down here, and this will have a huge potential for the old empire. Anyway, the Dutch and the Greeks push up into Polish territory, and now that and push almost to the Prussians, which will also push in, capturing this major city and this major city and this major city, and it goes really well for them. The Belarusian country will also push down and lose actually their major city, their headquarter, and a bunch of land up here. But that doesn't stop the rebellion from ongoing, and they want their freedom at all costs. The Polish are now already almost for the collapse, and the gold team knows that this will be a lost war. They only have one chance in winning, that is defeating the old empire in the south. In the south. This is the north. I'm bad at directions. In the south, to clear up their troops and send them through Greece, up, recapturing the old empire and defeating them from the bottom, and also defending this. And this push will be set in motion, now completely rushing through the Caucasian country, completely decimating all the infrastructure, and now reaching to the border of the old empire, pushing in the country, focusing on major cities, and just hoping to win this war as quickly as possible by capturing the capital of the old empire, going down, capturing this major city. And it really does not look good for the old empire, because the gold team is targeting them really hard. They also, with this push, lose almost all the ground in Greece, still holding this major city, but also almost completely losing the ground that they captured. In Poland, the Polish capitulate almost at the capitulation. They lose even more ground by Western forces, getting pushed back almost completely. The Russians also start small counteroffensives, but to the major cities and capital of the Russians. But these are very slow and don't do much damage to the gold team yet. The gold team needs to retreat from the Polish, and the Belarusians can retake all their claims and land and actually push even deeper into their former territory. Also pushing into Gold Team territory a bit, but not too far, because this was also the former territory. The Gold Team pushes even deeper into territory of the old empire, now pushing up the coast of the Red Sea, capturing this major city, capturing this major city, and pushing to this, actually also capturing it, and now going even deeper into the country, trying to capture as many major cities as possible, capturing this one, and it really does not look good for the old empire. Capturing this one, and now spreading through the country, trying to capture minor cities to the old empire as quickly as possible, but the old empire doesn't just give up. They are the main protagonist of these next years, of these next episodes. Maybe, I don't know, not really. I have a lot of things planned out for the series. If you, like I said, read through the, I would say, script, then you know who are the main countries, not really main countries, but I have some favorable countries that always reappear. And yeah, we need to just, I really did a lot. I'm just scrolling through the stuff that I already did, and it's, whoa, it's much, that's much. It's a lot. They start to push to this major city, and now the Farmers Union also joins the war on the Square Land side, but not joining the Square Land actually. They just want land that they think previously belongs to them, like the coast of the Black Sea. They start entering the territory, pushing the Gold Team back a bit, and it's not good. The Dutch team now makes the last advances into Poland, almost completely capturing Poland, and Poland surrenders on the last two major cities, and now it's a run for the capital of the Gold Team. Polish, Western European troops start advancing into Gold Team territory after just 2 years into fighting this war, I would say. I would say 4 years. After just 4 years fighting this war. And down here, Polish start to lose control over this front, and the old empire starts to push in, destroying supply lines and completely encircling a bunch of troops. And it's a massacre for the Gold Team completely, because they lose so much troops in this one front that it's really not good. They lose almost 500,000 in total. More, I think, just 750,000 in total in these encirclements of the old empire. And the first encirclement gets pushed back. The second one gets almost completely obliterated. This gets completely destroyed. This gets completely destroyed. This at the coast gets completely destroyed. This gets completely destroyed. And this gets also completely destroyed. The larger ones get slowly pushed back, and the Gold Team is now completely fucked. They lost their advances, their last hope of winning against the old empire, and now it's a death run for them. The Caucasians with the Creeds push back the old empire, the Gold Team. The empire helps and recaptures this major city, and the Greeks also push back all their lands and start advancing into Gold Team territory, crossing the border and actually capturing these two major cities for the first time. And together with the Farmers Union, they start their advances into the Gold Team core territory, and the Greeks lead the front. They capture this major city and this major city, and it's a brutal war. The Gold Team loses the capital of the Russians to the Russians, while the Russians actually make a huge counteroffensive, just taking everything, and if they find troops of the Gold Team, they just completely destroy them, obliterating them, capturing them, forcing them into labor. And this works really well for them. They almost completely destroy the push of the Gold Team in their territory, capturing this major city and their capital. And now the Gold Team just can't do anything anymore. The Belarusians push deep into the territory with forces that they are gathered here. The Western Europeans, and I mean almost all of Europe, now pushes into the Gold Team, trying to defeat the empire that they've built up in these 20 years. And they actually captured this major city. Down here, the Greeks start their push to the capital, which goes really well. They capture this major city, the last major city before the capital, but they are stopped right at the border to Crimea. And now it's encircling the Crimean Peninsula completely. Europe, the Dutch team pushes in. The Farmers Union pushes also a bit, but the Dutch team takes the control of the front, capturing this major city completely, this major city, and this major city. And now the Gold Team is really fucked. They don't have enough control over this area, and this starts slowly collapsing. The Russians push even deeper into their former territory or their territory and push back the gold team, recapturing completely all their land that they've lost, and now recapturing their previous land, their old lands, capturing this major city immediately because there's just no command structure here anymore. They also push down here and also push here, and the gold team just crumbles now. They lose all their troops in the old empire. I thought this was oops, and completely lose all the territory. The Caucasians start in counteroffensive, kept recapturing this major city, and it's just a brutal death run to the capital. And after losing all the territory in the old empire, the leader of the gold team kills himself. Actually, it's a brutal death. He's planted bombs in the office, and after a meeting, he sets all the bombs off, and all former leaders and politicians die in this so-called accident. The second in command survives because he was stationed up here in Caucasus and gets pushed back, sent back to the capital to take the place of the leader. And the second in command, after these brutal losses, actually goes to the square line and says, "We will surrender, this war's over," and hopes for a better peace treaty than completely getting capitulated and maybe completely eradicated from this planet. And just wants the gold team nation to be proud of their war. Besides that, they lost. He wants to be respected and wants to stay as the leader of the gold team because he sees chances to expand in the future. And now that this is finished and the gold team actually surrenders, we can look at a peace treaty of this really, really great war. And I really liked this. It was good. It was good. And now we can look at the peace treaty. And this will be the conclusion for World War II. I'm gonna go around and show you, I think. First off, the African Union took a huge part of the Roman lands in Africa and also released a Libyan, no, almost Egyptian state that is also part of, this is also Libya in the real WICSO. All these countries on the border expanded, especially the real Egypt expanded greatly. These two got 1 or 2 states, and yeah, the old empire took a chunk of Egypt, taking the now almost completely finished Suez Canal. They also took a bunch of claims from the gold team in Turkey. The Cretes also took the rest of the claims. The Caucasians took a huge portion of Caucasian land. The gold team lost tremendous amount of land. Before this, they were like here, down here, and now they're shrinking so much. The Russians actually are now planning to relocate their capital back to their old capital. I think it was here or here. I think here. Yeah, I think it's here, to the old capital back. All these countries got brought back to life. The Dutch got a huge part. The Prussians got a bit more land. The Polish got, I think, a bit more land. I don't know really. The new Polish country was released. The Czechs were released. They are also in the original WICSO. The Farmers Union got a huge amount of lands. They got all this area here. The Greeks also got a lot of land, mostly coastal land, up here to the Black Sea and to the Balearic Sea. I don't know what's called. I think this Balearic Islands, not the Balearic Sea. I don't know what's called here. This Mediterranean Sea. The Balkan country was released. The Austrian country got all the old lands back and a bit more. The Italian Union got re-emerged, got recreated, and is now back. The Romans got to keep one major city on the mainland with their capital and one on Corsica, and now they're just cornered in. The African Union also took the Balearic Islands and Sicily. I think Sicily is this island. The boot of the Italian peninsula. The French got a huge amount of land, as the Catalonians. The Dutch got also a huge amount of land back. And on the other side of the world, in Central America or Panama or Southern North America, The new country gets released from the Romans, and that's it. The Square Alliance loses all of their members besides the old empire. The Russians and actually the Galicians all stay in the alliance. The rest will leave and go on their own path because they see this as a one-time alliance against the Circle Alliance, not an actual military alliance that would keep up. But this is now the new world. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really liked it. I really liked the war. Maybe it was a bit short. I don't know. Could be a two-part video, but I just made one video. I think is better overall, and I hope you liked it too. Leave a like and subscribe to my channel. Would really help me. Just one click, and leave a comment down below what you think of this war. What could be better? What peace treaty could be better? Which countries would be better to release, and so on. Really interesting. I really are interested in your comments and suggestions. My English is bad. My bad. I'm sorry for this. And yeah, I hope I see you in the next episode. Thank you to everyone watching till this point. It's really helps me. Even if you just leave it in the background with no audio, it just really helps me. Thank you so much. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.